Hello, everyone. This is Waldorf,
And this is Statler.
and today we're going to have round two of the look at the new magic
Magic
items.
items. I have returned.
Yes, round two, Statler's return.
Exactly. I was very upset that Fozzie Bear came in and replaced me for, for a review.
That's what you get for going on vacation.
Exactly.
Um, so, look at the new magic items. I went over this earlier, and you can go on over it again with you real quick, just so you can get your 2 cents in.
Yeah.
Going through the list, it's just tell you where they came to this decision.
Right. And they've been hinting on that they're going to change this completely. So
Correct, and this is
no
a
surprise.
complete change.
Yeah. Well, it is, but it isn't.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
It's kind of both. They do say most armies will see their magic item count increase to
15.
15 based on the army book complexity.
Yeah.
That worries me. I don't know why they're taking that into account, why that matters. Are they going to say the orcs and goblins because they have Madgits and Shambolic and stuff that they don't need more magic items because it's too complex? That's just a concern.
I was reading that you have other things that fill in those gaps for
Like
some
maybe
armies.
the virtues and stuff for
Yeah, maybe.
Aquitaine.
You know, they talk about Vampire Covenant and you have all of the bloodline powers and stuff.
Yeah,
So
but I mean, they specifically mention orcs and goblins.
Yeah.
Which,
Orcs and Goblins are an odd one only because, I mean, the only thing you have there is, a ton of things to choose from in
What do
that
you mean?
army.
as far as unit choices.
Unit choices.
Right.
It's one of the big, up there in
It
unit
is.
choices. But you don't have a lot of buffing and things of that nature.
No,
So,
so I would not like to see them get shorted.
yeah. Although, I mean, how much of a difference is it going to be? An army gets 12 instead of 15.
It's
Is it-
critical. I'm
is
not
it gonna
losing my
matter?
Pana protection pension, am I?
Yeah, well, then we have to see what they're going to do too. Because
Yes.
I mean, right now, I mean, in most books, you only want like 0 to 2 items, and
Correct.
and you're happy with the common one. So, it's we'll have to see what they go.
Yeah,
so,
it all depends on what they do with all this stuff.
yeah, I'm not. I just said I would have actually preferred to see a higher total because
Well, we
I'm all about magic banners. So
correct, and I think we both were very vocal earlier is that we wanted, at least I wanted the magic items out of the main rulebook
yes,
because it wasn't. To me, it's never been a fair way to price things in the main rulebook.
no, absolutely not. Especially for I mean, mostly for armor, weapons, and wards.
Right.
Those are you can't.
Correct. You put a
it's
ward on a
just-
5-wound model, it's much more significant than on a
Exactly.
3-wound model.
A dispel scroll or something like that. It's all relative, but anything that gives any kind of protection or offensive ability, it's just not reasonable that the point cost is the same for somebody that's much stronger and or much tougher to pay this. Basically, it's kind of like a regressive tax. The goblins and the humans are paying for the for the Warriors of the Dark Gods characters.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm fine that they're moving more of it. I kind of interpreted their chart a little differently as far as the breakout, but whatever.
What do you mean?
Well, it looks like they just looked at the 2 highest categories and compared
correct.
them,
Right.
and the way the way the survey was designed, you kind of question one kind of overlaps. So
right,
I think
they
if,
didn't consider that.
if you look at the 2 categories that talk about putting it in the army book, we don't have to go to it. It's actually 60-something%. So,
Right.
but whatever. They're looking for the greatest common denominator. I mean, I'm hopeful that the common items just end up being just a handful of things like the spell scroll and things of that nature that don't matter from one book to the other.
Yeah, but
I doubt that's the
scrolling
case,
down
but-
below, I already saw that it's
Yeah,
not. So,
But so
I mean, you saw that down below, you saw one of the sample magic armors they list as a 4-up ward save built into
yes,
it.
yes,
Again, I'll say the same thing I just said is you give that to a human who's got 3 wounds,
yes,
and you give
or
that
a goblin
to
hero.
or you give
got
that
2
to
wounds.
somebody who's got 4 or 5 wounds. It's a little
It's-
bit of a difference.
It's way different. Yes,
Yeah,
who already happens to be tough.
right,
Toughness 5.
correct,
Yeah. No, I think that's a balance issue.
right.
Um,
The 4-up ward save on a character is if you put it on a human character, it means so much less than putting it on something else.
Yeah, because it's a game of filters.
Right.
And, the farther down the scale you have to roll, the better off you are, So the tougher the better your weapon skill, especially with the new chart, the less you're going to get hit. The tougher you are, the less you're going to get wounded. The better your armor, the less the wound's going to take. And then, so you've got so many filters before you even get to the ward save, whereas guys with lower weapon skill and lower toughness or armor are going to...
Those filters don't quite mean as much.
Yeah. It's like when you're an elf, you're not as happy. So, but anyway, so it'll be interesting to see what direction they go in. Like I said, I'm still kind of hoping that at some point we see more banners, because that's the easiest way to buff units is with magic banners.
And now with the weapon skill split, I think it would be easy to do a +1
absolutely.
weapon skill, offensive weapon skill banner, or maybe a +1 defensive weapon skill banner.
Especially now, as we see when we get farther down, it looks like you can take multiples. So okay, now the big thing, of course, is they're clustering some of the magic items into trinkets.
Yeah, they're going from
worst
6
name
categories to 4.
Ever.
The trinkets is the worst name
I've
ever.
got an ogre con, and I have a trinket.
Ooh, wait, you can't hurt me. I'll use my trinket.
Trinket. One of those, what do you call those bracelets? That you put the charm bracelets.
Oh, the charm bracelet. I've got a trinket on my charm bracelet.
Exactly. It's a baby butterfly.
That's funny. No, the name trinket has to go.
No, it's got to go.
It's got to go.
Especially dominant trinket. It sounds kind of
that starts to have a different
kind of
connotation.
kinky.
Yes. The term dominant will get explained later. Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay. That's all I need to know about that
just
one.
leather and the color black come to mind. But they're combined. A number of the talisman, the arcane items, and the enchanted items, artifacts,
smashed together into one.
Smashed together is,
But they do allow you 2 trinkets.
So you have multiple.
Unless you have a dominant.
That's fine, because the enchanted and talismans were kind of always an odd thing anyway. They're not particularly long list.
Correct.
One was about the saves, and everything else was kind of odd.
Right, and there's a couple of things already that I've seen that used to be either enchanted or talismans that have got bumped up into armor.
Right, and they're moving some things around.
A couple of examples.
And the dominant on the arcane artifacts has got me a little nervous, because one of the things I would have liked to see, and maybe we still will, maybe it's got moved into categories, and we've talked about this many times, as many of the existing arcane artifacts are useless because you've only got one.
Right, one slot in your army.
In one slot, maybe 2, and you can only take one of them, so nothing else is just going to be. Other things are just too important. So they split that up. Hopefully we'll see, but they can really.
As long as they don't tag too many of them as dominant, I think it'll be okay.
Yeah. So that'll be interesting. So I'm okay with that. And then the first thing is this weapon enchantments. Basically, they work like the
Dwarven runes.
Yeah, the Dwarven hold runes. And if you've heard our thing about the Dwarven holds, we got a lot of hate on that, but our issue was really more about them having magic ability, not the fact that they had runes. But
right.
So that doesn't bother me. Things operate a little bit more the same, and it sounds like, and looking at some of the things on the board and reading here, it's not going to necessarily be universal. So you may have a weapon. I'm sorry, what do they call this again? Weapon enchantment. A weapon enchantment that only works on hand weapons or only works on.
Correct.
Yeah. So some of them may have limits, the control points and things of that nature. So we'll see what they do.
Right, because this Razor's Edge, they give the example of down here. Attacks made with this weapon gain 6+6 armor penetration.
Right.
And magical attacks can never wound. And magical attacks. And can never wound on better than a 3-up.
Right.
So, you see this and you immediately have pictures of, everyone putting this on a great weapon.
Right.
So now I've got a great weapon with 6 armor penetration. It looks like there's a standard item for every army.
Yeah, especially if you have an elf.
But they did not, and according to the example, of course, this is not final. The example they gave does not say great weapon only. No,
correct. In this case,
only or whatever.
And they'll have to point it, and one would think, for the most effective weapons. So
correct. Well, they're saying that the points here are going to be based You're going to have to add the. You're going to have to buy the
Yes,
weapon.
you have to buy the weapon, and you have to
Right.
and it's an upgrade. But I would think, and I think I saw something like this on the Elven board. Maybe that's where I saw it. Is that, or maybe I'm imagining it, but that once again, some of these upgrades are going to be better on certain weapon categories.
Okay.
So the logical thing, well, if you're going to have it available to all weapon categories, you have to point it for the weapon that it's going to have the most benefit on.
Correct.
You know, so if you've got a weapon that all of a sudden just says you go first, you know, and you put on a great weapon, that's a big freaking deal.
Correct.
So, you know, for example.
Yeah.
So whatever it is, you know, it can have a difference. And as you get higher on the strength scale, it becomes more important. Now, it's not as important because they're separating the strength and the armor piercing. So,
Right.
and without knowing what that's going to look like for yet, you know, it's hard to say. But
Correct.
so I'm okay. I'm okay with this as long as more of these are in the army book and less of them are generic.
Right. Well, these are pretty much going to be the generic ones, but
Yeah.
we'll see. And they talk about here, you can
This one is,
are
but-
going to include stuff like halberd only.
Yeah.
They specifically say they're going to start.
Right, but I said until we see the full list, a couple
Correct.
of them, whatever.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, so far we've seen this,
Yes.
and this is not even final. I
Right.
don't think.
That's the one thing that, I mean, I'd see in a number of the books comes to mind, you know, like in Equitaine, is what they did is when they were going from, you know, taking ideas, I'll call it, from the root 8th edition, is you saw people, well, we can only have this many magic items, so we're going to combine abilities,
Yes.
so I still get all my stuff.
Right.
And I hope that they get away from that. Now, going from 10, because I think there's 10 in the books now, right?
I think so.
Yeah, 10 to
In
15.
effect, 7.
Yeah.
I mean 3.
Well, yeah, sometimes 2. Yeah, it depends. But so it's not a huge increase in items considering, gosh, how many of them? There's probably 40 common ones right now.
Oh, common items?
Yeah.
No, at least 60, I think.
Is it?
There's got to be at least 10 in each category, right?
Though the categories are different. So,
I'm saying there's 6 categories right now in common items.
yeah, there aren't that many banners. There's
Anyway,
not that many, I think, enchanted items. But yeah.
I'm going to say there's at least 50.
But there's a ton of weapons.
There's a ton of stuff.
So, but there's a good number there. So, yeah, it looks like if you're only going to put 5 per book, so we'll have to see. It would make things more army specific, which of course we like too, is
Right.
not having the same stuff everywhere. So it doesn't look like the overall numbers were going to be so vastly different. But we'll have to just see how it shakes out. But conceptually,
Conceptually.
the idea of just making it as a buff to a unit, I don't have a problem with that. I think that's kind of neat, actually.
To paying for a buff for your armor, yes.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
And the same, you know, with your armor, same thing with your armor, because it kind of works that way anyway. But and it makes it so you don't have people like, you know, Empire of Sanselo. Oh, my guy has plate, but I'm going to give him heavy armor now to get this ability, so I'm downgrading him. But I'm paying the same price.
Correct.
You know, it doesn't make any sense.
That I think is a definite improvement.
Yeah, so I like that. And then things that you'd like to have in certain armors, well, you can. And now mages can have light armor,
That's what this said in here.
which
somewhere.
is a big deal, especially if you can mount your mage on a horse and put barding on it. The but so, and they're going to be moving more of the stuff into the armor category, so it gives you other options for protection and stuff for your mage, so you don't necessarily have to use one of your trinkets for
Trinkets.
protection.
Yeah, which the dusk stone used to be a trinket.
Right.
The rerollable armor.
Yeah.
And so did this whatever lucky shield wherever I saw it earlier.
And the other thing too is with them separating, we have to remember the strength from the armor penetration. We don't know what the weapons look like, but it seems like armor is going to matter more on the surface.
It seems like it is, because if penetration is going to go down, then armor is more
Right,
important.
because there's going to be a lot of -1s. It's a lot different than all the strength 5
Correct.
-2s
or-
and strength 6 -3s that are out there right now.
Right.
So armor may, especially armor may be better. So it's not, because right now, frankly, you get a 5-up armor save. Who cares?
Right. It's almost why bother.
It's you don't.
I mean, strength 4 is almost the standard in the game now, not 3.
Exactly. You almost don't want to pay the extra points. You'd rather have more guys. So this can actually that change in the game could change the overall fighting ability anyway. So we'll see.
Okay.
But I'm okay. And the items themselves,
Yeah, and here's your favorites.
I'm not sure they'll look anything like this by the time they come out with the rules, which I'm guessing is December. But
Right. And now we have your trinkets.
the trinkets, I got trinkets.
They special.
Yes.
Each character can get up to 2 trinkets. Arcane items are trinkets with the keyword dominant.
Yes.
Arcane items are trinkets with the...
Right.
So it's according to this, it's saying arcane items. All arcane items are
dominant,
trinkets, and all are dominant.
That's how I understood
That's
it.
what
Yeah.
this says. Oh,
So you
that's
can only
terrible.
have one arcane item.
Oh, that's terrible. I didn't see that.
Well, depending on how they split things up.
What do you mean?
Well, how many of them stay here and how many of them move to other categories?
One way or
To
another, they're
armor
gonna
or
be-
whatever.
The arcane items, I assume, are
Oh.
all going in the trinket category.
Well, we can't assume. I mean, we don't know.
We have to. It just says right there. Arcane items are trinkets.
Right, but they're changing.
Because there will be no arcane items moving forward.
I understand, but my point is
Just be trinkets.
they're moving things in between categories.
Okay.
You're either a real magic item or you're a trinket.
Yeah, but I don't think any of the wizard stuff is going to move out of trinkets.
It
category.
could, like the thing that gives you the ward save, that scroll that gives you,
The scroll of shielding.
yeah,
I don't see that moving.
you know,
Anyway,
could be a shield of shielding.
that's too bad because I think I misread this. I missed this sentence.
Yeah,
I missed the part that says
yeah, I saw that.
arcane items are going to be dominant, which
Right.
I don't like. Because I wanted to be able to take the scroll of shielding and the wand of arcane power. I wanted to take, two arcane items on a mage.
I think they
You give up your protection to do that because you're giving up your points,
Well, I was always for more arcane items than mages because you have a whole bunch of useless items,
Right.
and
Not useless. Some of them were good, just
well, they're useless because you can never use them because you had to use other things. You
correct. The other ones were just so much better, you never used them.
Exactly. The and
Yeah, that's disappointing.
so
I'm disappointed. I'm not holding out on that one. I'm just going to be disappointed now.
okay. Yeah, I'm waiting. I'm
Okay, you're waiting for your disappointment?
I'm wait and see on all this because until
Right.
we don't. They haven't told us much of anything. We don't know. We know there's changes in all these different places.
Correct. We don't even know what the magic system is.
We don't know what the magic system is. We know about these splits, but we don't know how it's like armor and weapon skill, and we don't know how they're going to be split. And
Right.
there's just so much we don't know. It's hard to make any assumptions.
But we're here doing it anyway.
Yeah.
Because that's what we do.
Well, yeah, that's true. But as far as I said, I can only talk on the
Right.
on the top level as far as who knows at the detail level, at the concept level, I should say. That's what I'm trying to
Yeah.
say. English is a very difficult language.
So anyway, so we go through and they give us a couple examples of stuff. That
So
really-
one of arcane power, it's an example. So
Right.
this one actually people like it, but it disappoints me. But
What? The fact that it lost the
yeah,
+1.
hopefully
dispel?
there'll be another one that'll be a +1 to dispel.
I would like to see that.
Yes.
Only +1 dispels for your dispelling army.
Yeah. Yeah. So we'll see. Steel
Arsenal
charm.
items, current count being 20. So apparently there's going to be
Well, the
20
Ranger's
trinkets.
boots to me was an interesting one.
Really?
Yeah, because the other rule changes we haven't seen is what have they changed on terrain?
Correct.
Because right now, who cares? Foot only doesn't care about terrain
Except for
a couple
like ruins and
ruins
water.
and water. So it wouldn't seem to me that important. But
Right.
maybe they're changing the terrain. We'll have to see once again without knowing what's going on. There's so many pieces in the
Right.
moving parts. And terrain walker work in progress. They need to work on that progress some more.
You don't like the terrain walker?
No, I do not. I'm just thinking of Steven Seagal. It's like a movie.
Terrain walker.
That's his
featuring
next.
Steven
That's his
Seagal?
next movie, Terrain Walker. Steven Seagal.
All right.
No, yeah.
You need a dominant trinket if you're going to watch that.
Yes, he would have his dominant trinket.
All right.
Okay.
Banner enchantments, even enhancements.
Yeah.
So I kind of like that. Anyway,
I actually like enchantments better than trinkets.
trinkets, yes.
Just call the freaking things enchantments, and I think they'll be fine.
Most banner enchantments in the rule book are no longer 0-1, but instead of 0-3.
Yeah.
Some of the banners are small redesigns, slight toning down. Fire banner is one use only. And the BSB has lost the option for a magic banner above his normal magic budget.
Yeah.
And is instead able to make 2 magic. Okay. Alright. So they're giving him 2 enchantments.
Yeah, but it's out of his base, which is the problem they had in the old days. It's out of his base points.
Out of his base 50 points.
So you have a choice. Do I want him to have an ability? Do I want to protect
Right.
him or keep him alive? You know, so
I want to help my unit or keep myself
so
alive.
that's why you often don't see. I mean, you're busy keeping your guy alive. You don't have a lot of the big banners.
Right.
This sounds a little scary to me without understanding other things.
What's that?
So conceptually, once again, I like the idea of having more banners and armies.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can do, you
Well,
can
it doesn't
tailor your
necessarily
army.
say you're giving more banners in the army.
But they say nothing. That's my point. They say nothing about changing the magic banner allotment.
Right.
So right now, because one of the things they did, which I really hated, is they made everyone have one veteran standard and core.
Correct.
So in the old days, you had some elite armies that had more banners, that had banners and core.
Correct.
And so they just had more banners because they were that kind of army. Equitane comes to mind, elves.
Mm-hmm.
And then you had other armies that didn't. Orcs and goblins
Orcs
come
and
to
goblins.
mind. So they kind of pushed everyone to the same level
Right.
of magic banners. And that to me was an easy way for weaker guys like humans to stand up to more elite guys, is to give them a banner to buff them. So if they're going to give more options for the banners, but not
Increase who can
increase the core allotment of veteran, then this doesn't do any good, right? Because
take them. It actually makes you a little bit worse. It actually tones them down a bit.
potentially, right?
For the
Especially
ones
if
like
you're
the fire banner, because
Right.
it used to work all the time. Now
exactly.
It's
So
only
if you're
working
going
for
to tone
one round.
down banners, and you can't really fit that many more in your army anyway, because you don't have slots for them,
Right.
then this isn't a good thing. But if they're going to, do away with that stupid veteran rule, which was a 8th edition rule, so I'm sure it's an IP infringement.
That's what you're going for?
That's what I'm going for.
It's nice how you use that to your advantage when you want to.
I'm not the only one.
What are you saying?
I'm
I'm not quite understanding that statement.
yes. We'll just leave it at that.
Okay. The
So
standard of the formation looks interesting, though. The bearer's unit can increase its rank bonus by +1.
yeah,
So it's basically to 4.
sure.
Or up to 5 if you have 2 in the same unit.
Exactly. Of course, I never liked the rank bonus rule, but yeah, that's a whole other issue.
Well, you don't like the way the rank bonus rule is applied.
Yes, correct.
And you don't. It's not that you don't like rank bonus.
Right.
Right. You think rank bonus should be on the check instead of the win combat.
Correct.
Right.
I don't think ranks are as important as being outnumbered.
They're not. Then they shouldn't be, but
They shouldn't be, but they are more important.
Correct.
I can be smaller, but I have more ranks.
Correct.
Because you're not allowed to bring all those guys that are overlapping both of my flanks to crush me. And to make so
Yes. Yeah. So anyway, that looks interesting, especially for the smaller, big horde armies. Skaven, goblins come to mind.
well, I mean, it's kind of like a war banner. Except you have multiple ones in your army.
It is, but it's a war banner is all the time, no matter how many ranks you got.
Yeah,
This one lets you just count more ranks.
sure.
Yeah. Hopefully, this doesn't apply to Skaven leadership.
Oh, jeez. I'm sure it does. They are weak according to some of the comments on our channel.
That's a good point.
Yeah,
Other than that, I kind of like this.
yeah. I don't have a problem with it. It just makes the units more. I'm not a huge fan of the mechanic. It's still
Right.
the same mechanic that was in 8th, but but yeah, it's fine.
Right.
If you want to make your guys resilient. Now, I hope that this one is not a common item, though.
What do you mean?
The standard of the formation.
Looks like it is. Why?
Yeah, you got armies that are hard to get through their guys as it is, and you give them these things. And
Yeah, but I don't think it's going to help some of the harder armies. I mean, the harder armies. This needs a unit with. To use this, you have to have 4 additional ranks.
no,
Yeah.
The
It
version
increases your rank bonus by one.
+1.
Correct.
Normally, this means the unit can add up to four full ranks in
to its
combat score, or up to 5 full ranks. Yes.
Yeah. So basically, a unit of 2 ranks gets nothing from this.
It's +1.
No, it doesn't.
It's a 3.
It's the rank. It allows you to increase your rank bonus by 1.
By 1, right.
It doesn't say it adds 1 to your rank bonus. It
Right.
allows you to increase it by 1. So if you're 2 ranks,
Oh, 2
the way
ranks.
I rank it,
Not 2 additional ranks. 2 ranks.
2 ranks.
Okay, yeah. Yes.
The way I
yes.
interpret it is if you've got 3 ranks of guys, you got a front rank, you got 2 additional, you get +2 combat res. That's still what you're getting from this.
Yeah.
Where this one kicks in is if you have 10 additional ranks. Now instead of getting the +3, you're getting a +4.
Correct. Or if you have
2 of these.
if you have 3 ranks, you get 4 ranks. You know.
If you get 3 ranks, you get 4. It's not adding a bonus to your combat unless you have the additional rank for it. Is the way I'm reading this.
It's rank bonus by +1.
Increasing its maximum by 1,
Right.
not giving you +1. You understand what I'm saying?
Oh, I see. Yeah, I misread this.
You're thinking it's the War Banner where you get +1,
Yeah. So I think it was.
but it's adding to your maximum ranks that you can count
Okay.
by 1. So it's only good on the units that are going to have they're going to have at least 5 ranks deep, the front rank and 4 additional.
Right.
To get anything out of this.
Okay.
So anyway,
So it helps you.
so it should be a fairly inexpensive item, I would think.
Yeah, because it basically just
'Cause
makes
it's
you
gonna
have
go on-
even more units to plug up the middle of the
It's
battle.
going to go on cheap troops
Yeah, to hold people up.
to hold people up, and a lot of those, and those cheap troops a lot of times are easy to hammer and knock down to where they're not going to get anything from this. Anyway, just whatever.
Yeah. Okay.
That's that. And the fire banner, of course, they talk about.
Yeah.
It's a 1 use only.
Yeah, that's an interesting one.
I thought they broke this banner
By making it turn on and
by
off.
making it you be able to turn it on and off.
Yeah, I think just making it, because before it was both negative and positive.
Correct.
Yeah.
If you got in combat with something that was fireproof,
Yes.
then you were in trouble,
And you were in trouble. So
and that was the penalty for the banner.
that was negative. That's what I felt when they put that additional thing on there. So
Yeah,
I'd actually rather they put it back that way than have this 1 use thing.
Right.
But, whatever.
Correct.
Yeah, 3 rending banners. That could be interesting.
Yeah, +3
Yeah.
3 armor penetration.
Yeah.
Yeah, depends on how they word it.
Yeah. If it's just
If
capped
it's
at
just
additional,
AP 1,
then it's nothing.
if it's
Doesn't
AP
matter.
+1, then But then again, if it's priced fairly heavy,
If it's priced relatively
for
heavy,
1 round of chewing through armor,
and once again, if it's a whole bunch of, if you've got, they're doing away with a lot of the AP. It may be the only way some armies can get AP in them.
right? To have that 1 round, they can punish it.
Yeah, they just don't have anything to get, to help them deal with armored stuff.
Yep,
See, on the surface, seems like it's going to be better.
it does. And that's it. Necessary playtesting. They have a whole discussion thread, so you can go out
Yeah,
and
you can read about it.
post your opinions.
So
see
I mean,
what other people are saying.
to me, it's interesting. It's going to be the PR publication, so Blonde Beer, I guess, is going to post more info in the future. And we're not going to get a chance, I guess, as content team members.
We're just the content team.
Yes, exactly.
It's not important.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have any problem with anything that they're doing. I mean, some of the things look like they're just the exact same things, just called something different. But
Correct. It does. So we'll see.
and we'll just see how you build it. But I think it'll, for people who enjoy the list building part of the game,
Yeah, this could benefit.
this can be a lot of fun. Basically,
Right.
I can not only because now I can tinker with the magic items. Now I can actually tinker at a stat level potentially.
Magic items combining with the weapon you're putting it
Yeah,
on.
yeah.
Yeah.
and do some interesting stuff.
Yeah. The one thing
The
that
balancing of this is going to be a nightmare for them, but
since it's not in the army book, the balancing is going to be a nightmare.
yeah. Well, even
Even
when
in
once
the arming book, it would be
it's going to be tough.
But
Yeah.
this is making it even harder because you're putting it at the upper level.
Yep.
Because it used to be. I mean, I don't know why they didn't do it just for their own benefit, to put things in the army books. Because when you create a magic item, I can compare it to what's in this army book, or I can compare it to what's in 16 different army books that this can apply to.
Exactly.
Or sorry, 15, because the dwarves can't.
And you
use them.
can, even if it's the same item in multiple army books, you can point it correctly at least.
Exactly. You can
It's like,
point it
oh, in this
differently if
army
it's
they
more
can put it
important.
with this thing, so it's going to be this now.
Right.
So I need to point it appropriately.
Mm-hmm.
You know, whereas in this army it's only going to be this. You know, so yeah.
Right. So again, I thought just to help themselves out, it would have been better to put them in the army books.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And again, if it's a common item that would have been the same in every army, then it's just a cut and paste to put it in that army book, right?
Oh, exactly.
I mean, it's not like it's
That's what
to
it
do
is.
it that way.
That's what it is to me. I mean, they can still put them in the basic rule book with no points and just say see army book
Mm-hmm.
if they want to just include of the standard ones for
Right.
reference for some for reason, I suppose.
Yeah.
But
The other concern I have, of course, being a tournament player that goes to a lot of tournaments and plays, is this is going to make going over somebody's list a little bit more difficult, at least at first. If nothing else, just because the initial learning curve. Everything, the standard name's not there. It's no longer the sort of strength isn't there. Now it's, oh, I've got a strength enhancement on my halberd.
yeah,
I'm like, oh, let me think about that for a minute. That means blah, blah, blah. You know what I'm saying? It's just that extra step. It's going to be required, at least at first. I'm old and I can't adapt to change quickly, so it's going to be a problem.
yeah, I think it's going to take some getting used to. But to me, I don't see the difference when we were in Warhammer Fantasy Battle Days, went from third to fourth, to fifth. They would rewrite every single magic item pretty much with in the common books.
Right, but at least when you saw it and knew it,
Eventually, you'd memorize what they were, but initially you didn't.
Right.
You just had to figure it out. In a new army book came out, you didn't remember what was in.
Correct.
Somebody would show up, within the first 3 months. so I mean, I think it's a change, and
It's a change. It'll have to get
it's
through.
a learning curve. But I think anytime you go through change, I've never been afraid of change. I'm not a fan of them freezing the game for so long, and then
Right.
piling a whole bunch of stuff on. I prefer incremental change myself, just because it does help people absorb faster. But
I actually kind of. I mean, I've gone both ways on this whole
Yeah.
discussion about the change, the freezing and the non-freezing,
yeah,
and there was a lot to be said for the fact that every month, every couple months, whatever the time frame was,
right.
something was changed to try to to keep people involved. You had to keep looking at, you had to rethink.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, there was that extra element. To
Well,
kinda
there were
keep
times
you-
that it came too fast.
Going.
I'll agree with that. But once a quarter, I didn't think was so bad. I think it's tough. They've got too many moving parts, and this rule book change is, if they really lock it, is a big deal, because it's going to be impossible for them to balance the army books until they have a stable set of rules.
Correct.
Because every time you make a rule change, it has a cascading effect to
Mhm.
some, or if not all, of the armies, how they play. And there's just no way to get enough playtesting in to see how that stuff's going to work, and in a control group, because there's just so many moving parts. There's so many filters in the game. So it'll be good that they finally get to a point when they do lock down the rules. I think it's going to be a couple of versions though, because they're changing. It sounds like they're changing so many things. It's going to take a while to stabilize, to really understand the implications.
Well,
and
that
have
was-
playtesting.
That was my initial fear when they announced their plan.
Yeah.
Because the initial plan I heard was they were coming out with a set of rules, 199 or whatever, and that was going to be there, and they were just going to be it was going to be available to the public. And
Yeah,
you could
I
go
saw
in,
that.
and it was only going to be used to do, basically grammatical and
Right.
errata
saw that.
changes, or not
And
errata, but
the word disaster comes to mind.
and that
but-
sounded terrible to me, especially when you're pulling out a new magic system that hasn't been,
Well, a new magic system, changes to your combat system.
everything correct.
Changes. Yeah, so there's
So
a
now I'm a little bit
new
more encouraged
terrain,
now,
new setup, and everything else.
right?
Yeah,
And the fact that the plan from what I saw in one of the other posts was that
you're gonna do like a pre-release,
the pre-release is going to come out, and
and
it's
you
going
can
to
play it or if you want to or not.
and it's going to go until I think somewhere
April?
like next August, and it's
Oh,
going
is
to
it
get
August?
locked for
Oh,
years.
April's what I saw. I
I thought they were going to do a pre-release that was going to go until somewhere in the spring, and then the spring was going to come, and then it was going to be completely locked in next August, October.
Oh,
whatever.
okay.
So,
That gives them more time. Yeah.
which to me was good because, like I said,
No, it
it
is
gave
good.
them more time
You're doing something this
to go over that.
potentially radical as far as it is going to have a lot of foreseen consequences. But so we'll say we get a little bit more information every couple weeks.
Yeah, they are putting out a couple different things now.
Yeah.
The latest one came out this week with I don't know what it was.
Scroll.
The scroll, the 9/8 scroll came out
Yeah.
with some stuff in it. You see Blonde Beer's putting out more ETC stuff,
Yeah.
which Blonde Beer is a machine as far as putting stuff out. But anyway, so I guess that should do it.
Yeah, that'll wrap it up.
Yep. Anyway, thanks for listening.
Till next time.